Hi everyone, this is Lada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm here with astrologer Radostina. Hi Radi, how are you?
Hi, Lada. I'm good. Happy lunar eclipse.
Yes, it's happening exactly right now. Good time to learn something, to study, to meditate. But we're going to speak about an extremely interesting topic. I've never done an interview about this. It's called Horary Astrology. And Horary astrology is a very ancient branch of astrology. Actually, it was used a lot in the past because people back in the Middle Ages, they didn't know their time of birth. They didn't know which year they were born, probably. And they would go to the astrologer with a specific question, say, will my crop survive? Or where did my daughter go or disappear? Or who stole my donkey or whatever? And the astrologer would answer them on the moment. The moment that they would go to the astrologer and ask the question, the astrologer would look at the positions of the planets for that current minute, hour, and he would give very specific answers. I mean, it's amazing. They could say like, "Oh, who stole my fish?" And they would say a blonde guy with a tall blonde guy, and the fish has been eaten. And they would give very specific questions that would be confirmed. Can you tell us a bit more about horary astrology, Radi?
Yes, I find it amazing. At first, to be honest, when I started learning about it, I wasn't very keen on it. I wasn't sure if that's really working. But then I started testing it, and then it was amazing because it's so specific and it's so correct and on the spot. It's just amazing, and it is very interesting because before I used to think that you when you ask a question you can see only the answer of this question, but it's not really like that. When you open a horary chart, you can actually see everything about this person at this specific moment and what's happening in his life in every area, not only in regards to this question, but also in everything else that's happening around him or her. So it's very interesting, and um, as one of my teachers says, it's a little bit like tarot reading, really, but I think it's a lot more detailed and a lot more into it spreads more into the person's life. So it's very interesting, and
So, for example, someone can come and say, should I move to that city? But you actually see in the chart that they're thinking of moving to that city because there is someone they're in love with there, and they're not asking fully the question. So there is a love interest there, for example, or something like that.
Exactly, and this is one thing that is very important when you speak to a client. You have to talk to them and understand what exactly is their question, because they might, as you said, they might be asking, "Should I move to this city?" But the actual question is probably, "Am I going to be with this person who is living in that city for a long time? Are we going to be in a good relationship?"
Mhm.
So it is very important to analyze the topic and the actual interest of the person, and then start reading the chart. And then because it's very important to know which is the significator of the question. Um, for example, when you have a chart and I have some. I have a very favorite, actually, a very favorite example. A friend of mine has hidden some money, and she didn't know where it is, and she couldn't find it. And she's been looking for it for a month already, and she says, "I really need the money now. So can we try this thing that you were telling me about?" This.
Do you have the chart to share it with us?
Yes,
Do you know
I do
how to
have.
share screen?
I am not quite sure.
It's the green. There is a button on the left. If you
Oh,
hover,
right, yeah,
it
I
says
saw it.
green share. So open the chart, and when you open it, just click on it. Share screen, and click on the chart, and it will show it. So you can walk us through that chart.
Oh, okay. Just let me just rename it just for confidential.
And while you're doing that, can I ask you what time should the astrologer take for the question? the time that they are asked first that question, or the time that the person first thought of that question to ask it to an astrologer, or the time you received the email? What exactly do you use?
I use the moment that they have told me the question. They have asked me personally the question. It usually the rules are that it has to be the specific time when the question occurred in the person's mind, and then but if they remember, of course, because you have to really get used to the idea that you can ask the question, you can ask such questions the astrologer, because people forget. So because they forget and they've been interested for a while, I just take the time and the location of the person.
Okay, so if I have a client, say from Serbia, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the UK or in the United States, I take the place of the person. Okay.
Yes,
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 it makes sense because they're the ones asking the question. Yeah.
yes, and their time as well.
Yes.
So yes, this is how I work. And to be honest, it happens so that sometimes people ask me question, and they say, but don't worry, it's not too important, or can you just check whenever you have time, and I forget. And then they call me again, and I mean, I have opened the previous chart, but I have forgotten to look at it, and then they call me again, and I open another chart, and you can see that the topic is always the same. The chart comes up in such way that the topic is always the same, and you can see that it is important. This specific topic is important to them. So
It's
it
almost like the current positions of the planets reflect
absolutely,
our thoughts. And
absolutely,
like the ancient Greek people, they would say they didn't think their thoughts were their own. They would say like, oh, Athens or this god or Mercury gave me that thought, or that god gave me that thought. So they were acknowledging how basically the positions of the stars are mirroring exactly what their thoughts are, or even instilling in them whatever thoughts they were thinking about, or whatever current situations were happening in their life. Okay.
absolutely. Let me now share this chart. So I first press the green screen thingy, screen share, and then okay. Let me see. For some reason, it doesn't let me share this particular application.
Oh, are you looking at the chart, at the app?
Yeah, I think I might actually manage to do it now. Can you see it now?
Uh, no,
No. Hmm.
I see. Usually, you need to have it like downloaded and on the desktop rather than from an app.
Yeah. It's a software.
Yes, it's not gonna show the software.
Hmm. It says it says it's sharing it. I'll stop again and I'll try again.
Or can you download that picture from the app? Like make a screenshot of it and then share it?
I'll try, yes.
So basically, you can find lost objects. That's what I love Horary Astrology for. Because if you open someone's birth chart, you're not going to see that. Where did I misplace the money, or where is my passport? But
Yes.
but very specific questions can be answered with Horary Astrology. Where did I forget? I remember once my flatmate couldn't find their passport. And I did a horary chart, and I said, you're not going to find it, but you're still traveling because I see your planet moving to another sign, crossing a border. But the passport was hidden. It was, I said, you're not going to find it. It's somewhere. And basically, his embassy issued my flatmate on the next day a document to travel, but the passport was never found. So it's amazing how specific answers it can give. I remember once as well, one of my best friends, she couldn't find a very expensive Rolex watch. And she had a guest at her home, and she said, did the guest steal it? Like she said, there's no one else but this guest who could have stolen it. And I looked and I said, I see is with your marriage partner. And she said, but he's in a different country. And I said, I don't know. It shows there that it's with the seventh ruler, the ruler of the seventh house. And that's with your partner somewhere.
Wow.
And that it will be found. And 4 months later, she found it out in the suitcase of her partner. He's been carrying it around in his suitcase for some reason. And she almost blamed the guest. So sometimes it's important not to, to rush such things.
And another great thing is that when you don't know your own birth time, you don't even need the birth date really. I mean, sometimes it's very interesting because sometimes the person has the same aspects or similar aspects to what it is in the horary chart. So it can add. Sorry?
It's repeated in the horary chart of the moment.
And it's very interesting. Can you see it now?
No, it's not showing. But you can tell me the positions and I'll draw them on the board here.
Okay, excellent. So we have Pisces ascendant.
Okay.
And we have the second house, which is important. The second house is the house of money, as we know, and we have it in Taurus. So it straight away you can see that Pisces, okay, this is the significator of the person who is asking the question. And Pisces, Neptune, she doesn't have a clue. She lost it. She hid it somewhere, and she has no idea where can it be.
Yes, she's confused. Pisces means always the first house indicates the person who is asking the question, doesn't it? And their state.
Yes. And
okay,
also,
can you stop sharing because I don't see your picture?
Sorry.
And the first house always indicates who is asking. Say, and it shows with Pisces here, I'm confused. I have no idea where it is. Something's lost, Pisces.
And then we have the ruler of the second house, which is the house of money, and we are looking for money. So we have the ruler in the 9th house in Sagittarius, together in conjunction with Saturn. So Venus and Saturn.
Venus conjunct Saturn here. Yes. Venus rules the second house, so Venus is the money. The money is in the 9th house conjunct the planet Saturn in Sagittarius. Okay.
Sagittarius in the 9th house, and it trines the moon. The moon is in the 5th house in Leo, and it has a sextile to Jupiter in the 7th house as well.
Okay, Jupiter in 7th. So trine, the trine is an easy positive aspect. I'm putting here on.
And a nice positive aspect to Jupiter as well. And with Jupiter, we have also Mercury and the Sun in the 7th house.
And the Sun, okay.
Yes. And why is this important? The 7th house is me, because I am the other person. I'm her consultant. I'm the person who is actually she's consulting. And when you have, for example, when you have, as in this case, Jupiter and the Sun and Mercury, who is the ruler actually in this chart of the 7th house, and they have nice aspects. Your consultant is the right person to help you.
Yeah.
And if you turn, for example, this means that for some reason this person will not be able to help you. Something will prevent him from helping you. As much as they want to, they will not be able.
Yeah.
And now what else do we have? Oh yes, we have also Venus square Neptune from the 12th house.
So Neptune is here in the 12th, and Venus is making a square aspect. Square is with red because it's a difficult aspect.
Yes, and I think these are the most important positions for this chart at the moment. The moon is very important as well, because the moon, we always look at the moon no matter what the question is. We have to look at the moon because it shows the state of the person who's asking, the state of the question, and how is it going to develop, and what is going to happen. And we have a moon with easy aspects only, so it means that and also the moon shows all the material things in life.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and when you have a well aspected moon, it means that everything will be okay, or it will develop in a nice way, or you will find a solution for your answer, for your question. So we have Venus in Sagittarius and Saturn there.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
told her, look, also, another thing that I should mention is that we have a lot of cardinal energy and a lot of fiery energy in the chart. So this shows that things will develop very quickly. And when I looked at the chart, I told her straight away, "You're going to find this money now. I mean, it will
Yeah.
be find it now." And I told her, "Look, search somewhere on the topics of Sagittarius. Also, because the ascendant is Neptune, I would say something to do with Neptune and Pisces, and something like documents given to you by some authority or some government for Saturn." So I was telling her, if you have a Bible, look in the Bible because of Pisces and because of Sagittarius. If you
Oh, and the
have
ninth house. The nine houses, yeah, Bibles and anything religious.
Yes, if you have some documents like for marriage documents, or I don't know, some kind of certificates for baptism or something. And she said, well, or some medical documents as well because of Pisces and Neptune. And she said, yeah, but I checked in the medical documents and I've been going through them one by one, and it wasn't there. And I said, check again, because you don't see it. It might be there and you don't see it because of this square between Neptune and Venus. I said, yeah, but it's impossible. I said, check again. So she checked again and she found the money documents, and there was a little booklet of her son's, is it baptism? It's called. Yes.
Baptism, yeah. In the church, when you baptize someone. And that's the Sagittarius in the ninth house.
Yes.
Because it was anything connected to religions and to documents that legalize something of any sort.
So this is where she found the documents.
Oh my God.
Where she found the money, which was amazing. It was, and she really didn't want to go through these documents because she's been through them a lot of times and said it's not there. I checked already.
Wow.
But I knew that she was confused and she couldn't see it
because of the Neptune square Venus, isn't it? And you say that if the chart has a lot of fire in it, or things usually develop very fast.
Yes. Yes.
What if it has a lot of earth?
A lot of earth doesn't mean any development. It means stability. If you want something to continue, it will continue and it will be stable, but there's no change.
Mm-hmm.
There's no change there. If it's a lot of air in the chart, there it might mean that you will find more information on the topic soon, and you will have options also. If you have mutable energy, you will have options to choose from, and you can be flexible on the topic. So there's movement there.
Yeah.
And if you have water in the chart,
yeah, options and movement.
Yes,
Air or mutable. Okay, and water.
And water means there's something hidden. There are secrets. So you might not know all the facts about this question that you have.
Oh wow, amazing! I didn't know that.
Interesting. Also, it might mean that if you're looking for something, it might be somewhere around water. It might be somewhere where they handle liquids or something like that. Everything to do with water and liquids.
What about fire? If the thing you're looking for is in a fire sign, does it mean something high, low? What was it?
Oh yes. Let me see. I have some notes here, because there are also directions like east, south, north, and when you have, let me see. So when you have fire, it means east, and it means like it's not very high. It's like, I don't know. It's not low. It's not too high. It's somewhere in the middle, and the direction is east. And when you have earth, it means it's somewhere low and it's south.
So somewhere on the ground, maybe lower, lower something, kind of drawers or whatever, south.
If if you have Pluto ruling the question and it's in an earth sign, it might be underground, for
Pluto
example.
is underground, yeah.
And yes, air means west, and it's on a big height. It's very high, somewhere very high, on the
On top of
highest.
on top of your wardrobe, on top of the tree.
Usually it's on top of your wardrobe, yes. And water, again, it might mean underground, or it might mean underwater, literally. What is it?
South.
North.
North. What? Oh, yes. North.
Yes.
Yes. So water is north, earth is south. Yes.
Earth is south, yes. And fire is east, and air is west.
West. Yes.
Also, depends on for example, I was looking for my earrings. I had some favorite earrings and I couldn't find them. And I remember Pluto was the ruler of my second house again, because it's something to do with your possessions, and they're quite expensive. And the ascendant was Libra with Venus on the ascendant. So it means something pretty, something beautiful. And Pluto was in the third house, and I found my earrings. They were somewhere under some things on a desk.
On the desk, where you write, where you, yeah. Can you walk us what the different houses mean, like places, for example? Okay. So like the first house, if the ruler of what you're looking for is in the first house, for example, what can it mean?
It might mean it's somewhere with you. It's somewhere might be even in your possession somewhere, because this is yourself, and it can be, I don't know. The first house is a fire house, so it might be somewhere hot, or somewhere you can look at your summer clothes, because it might be there, for example.
Or somewhere east as well, because it's
somewhere east. Yes. And also it might mean that you will find it, depending on, of course, on the energy of the whole house, of the whole chart. It might mean that you'll find it quickly, because it's somewhere with you, around you.
By the way, what house system do you use for that?
Just Placidus. I mean, there are different opinions. Everybody can try their own. They can try Cock. They can try Regiomontano.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it's pronounced.
There are very little differences usually.
Yes, but Placidus works perfect.
And you use the normal tradition, the modern rulership. Pluto rules Scorpio. Do you look at both rulerships, say Mars and Pluto?
Yes, I look at both, but they usually confirm each other. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you use the old ones or the new ones. It doesn't matter, because usually the answer is the same.
Oh, wonderful. So if the ruler of whatever you're looking for is, say you've lost your cat, so the ruler of the sixth house is in the first, the cat will come to you.
Yes.
She will find you. Or your earrings, the ruler of the second house in the first, they're with you. They're very close to you. Or something like that. Okay. So the second house.
The second house, of course, it would mean that it's somewhere, either where you keep your money. It might be in your purse. It might be in your, like if you have a safe, or some treasury box, or it can be somewhere where you keep some, I don't know, art or expensive possessions.
Valuables, yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Third house would be anything to do with desks, communication, computer, somewhere around your computer, somewhere. If you have like a specific room where you work and where you write, like a study,
Study, yeah.
it probably is in your study.
What about
Um,
drawers? Drawers and
sorry,
stuff like that? What is it?
sorry.
Drawers?
All
Could be name.
drawers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Drawers is okay.
Drawers, and also it can be with your brothers and sisters and cousins.
Oh, your cousin stole it, of course.
For the neighbors.
The neighbors, yeah. Yeah, they have to explain, for example, if they're looking for their phone and they say, well, some neighbors came over and my phone disappeared, and you see that the ruler of the third house, which is the phones anyway, is in the third, you might say like, oh, your neighbor maybe thought it was their phone and took it.
Especially if it has a, for example, a negative aspect from Saturn, for example, it might mean that it's stolen. Or it has a negative aspect from Neptune, it might mean that it's stolen or you won't find it.
Yeah, and if it's positive aspects, probably was a mistake of some sort. That,
yeah, you forgot. You might have forgotten it at your neighbors.
yes, exactly.
Fourth house. Fourth house. It's somewhere in your home or somewhere with your mom or dad. Usually, usually fourth house with Horary Astrology, it shows the dad. It shows the father.
Oh,
Which is interesting. Yes. It can be, I don't know, you might have left it I don't know, on a building site as well, or if you've been looking for an apartment and you've been at the sales agent's place, it can be there as well, or this apartment that you've been looking at, you might have dropped something there.
What about
Anything.
what part of the home would the fourth house signify? Would it be like the kitchen?
Might be, yes, or I would say also it might be also somewhere if you have a fireplace, I think, because the fourth house is the house of the moon, but at the same time it's a cardinal it's cardinal water, isn't it? So it's somewhere.
Well, where would be the kitchen? Which house would be the kitchen? The second?
I think you were right about the kitchen with the fourth house, though.
Yeah, because food is connected to the fourth or the second house, so it should be, if you see it maybe in the second or in the fourth, might be the kitchen. Where would be the bath?
The bath would be the 12th house.
Okay. We're in your secret place. Okay. So fifth house?
Sorry.
Hello.
Fifth house would be with your kids. There's the kid.
Okay, that's so funny. Yeah, that's why I was laughing. I was like, we're at the fifth house, so your kid took it.
Yes, it can be where you keep your things for your hobbies, or I don't know, maybe you have been flirting and you've dropped something at the like a fun place where you've been out, or where, or somewhere, maybe a kindergarten as well.
Yeah, or where your children play outside in the playground.
Mm-hmm. Can be a playground.
Or maybe you've played tennis, it's somewhere there. Or I think like the fifth is when you go out and party. Say you've gone to a restaurant or, fun places to entertain yourself. You went to the theater.
Yes, and probably you would see the ruler of the fifth house, and you would look at that as well, so you can get more information about the exact place, because it can be so many places. But you might have gone to the restaurant, then to the disco, Before that, you have been to the playground.
You went to four bars.
So when you look at the ruler, you will probably get more information on
Yeah.
where about to look.
Say the ruler is in Taurus and it's like, oh, it's food. It's where you had fun eating food. Or say it's in Pisces or somewhere you drank, or and so in the house it will be maybe where it's the playground for the children, the playroom. Maybe if you have, say, a pool table, or maybe if you have a bar at home, maybe, or maybe if you have, I don't know, the TV room. What would be the TV room? That would be probably.
I think fifth house would be the TV room and the game
Entertainment
room.
room. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sixth house.
Sixth house. I don't know. This would be again somewhere something. I think it would be similar to the third house, really, or somewhere where you spend most of your day with
Doing
routines.
routine.
Yes, if you also in the office.
In the office, yeah, at work. At work, or maybe something that cleans stuff, like I don't
Oh
know,
yes,
where your
the
cleaning products are.
yes. If you have a room if you have a wet room or some
Where you
place where.
keep your medicine, for example, we have like a place where you keep your medicine.
Um, Seventh house would be
With your partner.
they took your money. Well, really, because the seventh house covers so many people. It can be with your doctors, it can be with your astrologer, it can be with your any consultant, it can be with your business partner, it can be where you do your private business. I guess something like the sixth house.
So it's more like it means it's with someone else, kind of.
It's someone else, yes,
It's another.
somebody else.
Yeah. The eighth.
Or
Oh, sorry.
the seventh house also can be the court, or if you had some
Dealings there, yeah.
if you had some work in the court, it can be there or at your lawyer's. Eighth house is probably somewhere where you wouldn't find it.
Yes, it's hidden. It's as they say. I'm not gonna say this. It's rude.
The same thing, I think so. Never mind, but it will not be easy to find it, and if you find it, if there are good aspects, it would be somewhere in the sewage. It would be someplace underground, or it can be in the cemetery. It can be
In your sex dungeon.
in your
Everyone
sex
has a
dungeon,
sex dungeon. Yes.
or in the cupboard where you keep your toys.
Or maybe what would you go if you have something underground, like a basement or something?
Yes, it can be there as well, I think. Somewhere dark and underground and
wet, where sunshine never shines.
it can be in a cave, I guess, if it has also something to do with Saturn.
Well, I remember once we were looking, someone was looking for something, and the significator was in the eighth house, and they found it, under the sink where all those kind of pipes are, and
Yes.
where you keep all the products for cleansing and stuff. It was in their toilet. Actually, eighth house can be also toilet where you go to excrete, because the eighth house is the house of Scorpio, where the excretory system. So the toilet seat, or so it was in the toilet under the sink where all those pipes were. That's where they found it. Anyway, that's one of eighth house plays that it can be.
Absolutely, yes. This is the dark Scorpio dealing with nasty things.
Yes.
Ninth house would be, as I already gave an example, this can be anything to do with religion, anything to do with traveling abroad. It can be, I think, all the books from university or books that have something to do with foreign languages or horses. Ninth house is the house of horses. It can be if you have anything to do with horses, or you have a statue of a horse. It might be around there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's also a house of very big things. So you find the biggest thing in your place and look around there somewhere.
Okay. Or maybe something in your house that is you brought from a foreign country.
Yes, it's also the house of big furniture. So you can look around the biggest furniture as well.
That's interesting to know. And now suppose if you have a place sanctuary where you go to pray or read the Bible, as you said, something like that.
Yes, yes, or do some rituals. Yes.
Yeah, rituals. Yeah.
This is another place to look for. 10th house. 10th house would be, I think it would be somewhere obvious, or it might be outside of your home, somewhere public. And also, again, back to the office. The office at work, especially if you are on a higher position, or if you have been talking to the boss this day, and you're something, it might be at the boss's office. It can be anywhere in a governmental structure or office, or big corporations. If you have visited some, or you have something to do with them, they might have taken.
Institutions.
Yes.
Maybe one of the parents, as you said, isn't it?
Oh, so yes, one of the parents, probably the mother, but you can check with both of them. Yeah, I can't really think of any, and it might be somewhere also. I would say it might be somewhere on the ground. Depends on the sign. Depends on the aspects of the ruler, of course. You look at the ruler and you find more information on that. It's also very important, I forgot to say, on what degree is the ascendant of the chart, because it's from 0 to 3 degrees. It might mean that you don't have much information on the topic that you're asking about, and the topic might be developing slowly, and it will take a lot of time to get your answers and to get some development. If it's between 3 and 27, it's there's enough energy, and it is now is the moment. It's the correct moment that you're asking, and you'll probably get your answers, depending, of course, on the other aspects. And again, from the 27th to the 30th degree, it might mean that it's too late now to do whatever really, because it might be, there might have been a solution already, but you don't know about it because you haven't been informed.
Not much can be done anymore.
Not much can be done. So yeah, 11th house. 11th house is friends or groups of people. So you might have left something at your friend's place, or they might have taken it, or where you get together with people of the same interest. 11th house can be something to do with politicians and some governmental structures, I think, in some way, but it depends. More likely to be with your friends.
Yeah. And 12th house, as you said, is bath or bedroom to sleep.
Yes, it can be. Even though bedroom, I would say the bedroom depends on the bedroom, I guess, because I would imagine the bedroom is the second house as well.
Okay.
Yes. Taurus likes to sleep.
Well, because like you lose consciousness, and that's I associate it with Pisces. So they say hotels 12th house. It might be in some hotel as well.
Can be,
Somewhere near water, or usually when it's in the 12th, it's hard to find it, isn't it?
again, yes, it's hard to find, and you might be delusional about it, or you might it might have been stolen, or you might have I don't know, dropped it in the ocean or something like that, or it can be on a ship, something like that.
Sailing towards Japan. Yeah.
But the 8th and the 12th houses are the secret houses, so it's a little bit harder to find things. Again, depending on the aspects.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. And what about, because many people are interested, can you look at relationships? Because many people don't know. They are in love with someone from the office. They don't know his time of birth. They don't know their own time of birth. And actually, I've used horary astrology a lot on relationships. Can you explain to us?
It is a great tool. Yes, I think this is another great way to look into a person's relationship, because, as you said, they don't usually have the person's time of birth. And I had a client that was in love with somebody, but they were only communicating online, and he was a foreigner, and he was just, I don't know, he was just disappearing sometimes, and then popping up and promising her things. And she asked if he's ever going to, again, he has disappeared, and she asked if he's going to call her ever again. And I don't remember the exact chart, but I remember that wouldn't have a connection, they wouldn't have a relationship, but he would get in touch with her via text, for example. It was Uranus in the 3rd house, so he would again call her or send her a message, or talk on whatever they were using to talk online.
Yeah, but
and this is
what more happened. Yeah.
Yes, and this is what happened, but nothing more. And another very interesting thing is that the question lasts for 3 months. For example, if somebody has asked you this question, they cannot ask you 2 days later again, is he in love with me now?
Yes.
Because they'll have to wait. At least they'll have to wait for at least 1 month. But the answer to the question usually lasts for the next 3 months. And this lady, and I remember that because this lady was like, I told her he will get in touch with you again, and there was nearly 3 months have passed and get in touch, and at the end, just probably the last 2 days, he got in touch with her.
And you can actually see time frames there, depending on how many degrees one planet has to pass before it reaches the other planet or makes an aspect to it. This can give us like 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 days. Depending.
When Mercury retrograde, when it turns direct, this is when something will happen, for example.
And when we're doing relationships and someone comes and says, are we going to be together? And we look at the 1st house is the person who is asking, isn't it? The 7th house is the person they're asking about. So we need to find, say, if the ascendant is Sagittarius, the 7th house is Gemini, we need to find Jupiter and we need to find Mercury. Say Jupiter is here in Pisces, and say Mercury is here in Virgo. And they are about to make an opposition. Say Mercury is at 22 degrees, Jupiter is at 25. So in about 3 degrees, they will make an opposition. So there will be connection between those two people. But the aspect is a difficult one. How do you interpret that?
We always look at the moon as well. Always look at the moon. If the moon has, depends on the phase of the moon. It depends on what the aspects of the moon, the sign of the moon. So this is how we would understand what's going to happen.
Yes, because usually with an opposition it can mean they meet up but they argue and they don't get along. But if the moon is making, and we're looking at the future aspects of the moon, because what will happen in the future, not aspects she's already done. Say moon
Yes,
moon at
because
5 degrees. Yeah, yeah.
at the moment the moon might be with some hard aspects, which might mean, well, this is why they have some emotional problems, and this is why there's a question if we are going to be together or not. But then if you see that the moon will make like a trine between Jupiter and Mercury, and they might, I think things, you can see that things will just go well.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's yeah. So basically, the moon can change things. What about if, say, Jupiter is here in Aquarius, and Mercury is making no aspect to it? So the ruler of the first and the ruler of the seventh are making no, and we're using only the traditional aspects: opposition, trine, sextile, conjunction, and square. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's not making any such aspect, does it mean there'll be no connection between them?
I wouldn't say so. And again, I would look at the moon, because it might again mean that it might take time for them to realize that they need to make a connection. I would also look at the ascendant, and if what's the state of the ascendant. I would also look at Mercury, because another thing that can help us understand more is whether the planets are visible. Uh, because if Mercury is not visible, it might mean that things might not work out well. If, for example, the moon is invisible as well at this point of the question, it might mean that nothing will happen, or we cannot say at the moment that anything will happen.
The kind
There's
of combust planets are very weak to give any results. This is the kind
as
of.
well.
Mhm.
Yes.
And what if you have a great aspect between Jupiter and Mercury forming, say, a trine,
Mm-hmm.
but the moon is void and combust? What would you say when there is such contradictory indications?
Um, Again, you would probably look at the ascendant. You would look at the fifth house as well, and I don't know. When in such case, it might mean that yes, they are attracted to each other, but there's no emotion in it. It might be just a physical attraction.
Because the moon is not involved in any way, it's not showing.
Yes.
Ah, okay. And is there a way to see who likes who more? Because I learned that method in basically John Frawley's uh, Real Astrology. So he said to look at receptions and say, uh, say Mercury here is in the sign of Cancer, and that's the other person. Mercury rules the other person, and say it's here in the sign of Cancer, and Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So the ancient astrologer would look at that and say the other person that you're interested in is in the sign of Cancer, and you who are Jupiter exalt in Cancer. So this person puts you on a pedestal, and you might, and if you're Jupiter and you happen to be, say, in the sign of Pisces, like we said here,
Yes.
Mercury is extremely weak in Pisces. So actually, you don't like the person much. You don't think high of them. They kind of, idealize you, but you're not so certain about them because Jupiter does not receive Mercury well in Pisces. Mercury is weak in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they might be making a trine, it would indicate, yes, you'll connect, but only one will have very strong feelings for the other, while the other will be, not so into them. So that you can see such subtleties from a
Yeah.
chart. It's amazing, which is, something that you have to analyze a lot of two charts to be certain who likes who, and what transits they're coming under in a period in love, and instead with such chart you just build it and you look at it and eureka. And have you found that sometimes they don't work? Like, say, person asks you something but you can't really see it, and
Um. Well, as I said, when you have Saturn in the seventh house, it might mean that you don't know all the information to help this person, or Yeah, or the ruler of the seventh house is also in somewhere in a bad position. You might not.
Invisible, combust.
Yeah,
And
or
you'd
in,
say, sorry, I don't think I can help you now. You'd be honest.
exactly. Yes, of course. Should
Oh,
always be
fantastic.
honest.
Wonderful. Do you have any secrets to tell us more about that? About
Ah,
horary astrology?
I think I told you all the secrets. Let me see here with my notes. Um, Another thing that's interesting is that if you use only the seven planets, but there's a strong influence from Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, it might mean that things are out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it because there is a higher presence. Another thing that is interesting is that when the ascendant is between the 0 and the 3rd degree, it might mean that this is a super important question for you and for your faith, and it might take you a while to realize how important this is and how it's affecting you. It of course depends on the question. I mean, if you're looking for your money, it's not such a big deal. But
Life, yeah, determined.
also, if the south node is very heavily aspected, it means that uh, you are not on the right path. You are not on. You're going back to where you came from, and you shouldn't be there. You should go forward, and you should not stay in your south node area. So
Uh-huh.
it's somehow karmic if you have the
Say,
node.
say the note is with the ruler of the first house.
Yes, or with the moon.
And if someone is asking, should I stay in my present job or take a new job? What would you look at? How would you look at that question?
I would probably look at the usual, the second, the sixth, and the 10th house. Depends, of course, on the job. If it's just a job, I would probably look at the second and the sixth house and the rulers and the moon again. Also, the fourth house shows the end of the question.
Yeah.
Yes, it shows how it will end. So this can also help us if we are in doubt.
But how would you choose between two jobs? You ask him to describe the two jobs and for you to see which one is better indicated in the chart or which planet?
I think people don't just change jobs; they change them for a reason. For example, he probably is not asking which job to take or is this going to bring me more money and stability. So you would look more on the second house and how things are going. If you see that the aspects are going bad, it means that and you see that for example, Mercury is retrograde and ruling the sixth house. It might mean that there will be a change. He has made his decision and he's going to change his job. But if the second house ruler is going to make hard aspects, it means that he'll make a wrong decision, most probably. Change of jobs.
If the past aspects are good, does it mean like actually you better stay with the past job rather than move forward if the new aspects are not good?
Yes, because it might show that they have already made their decision, but they're just asking just in case.
Yeah.
And if you see that they're coming from a nice place and they're going to somewhere else,
to a bad place.
Yeah, you would advise them not to really do it and wait. At least wait.
But they'll usually do it anyway.
I know. And I say something and I say, so don't do this, and at the end of the conversation they're like, okay, so I will do this anyway and see what happens.
And then you say, I told you so, but I guess when you have to go through something, you have to go through something.
Yes,
you can't stop living your life. So
Yes, and I think people, for people, it's more important to be understood and to be explained why they're going through this thing rather than being told. Some people, of course, want to be told what to do in a certain situation when they're in crisis or something. But most of my clients, I think, need to be listened to, need to be understood, and need to be explained why they're going through this. They need an explanation why they go through that
Mhm.
phase of their life.
For it to make sense, exactly. And you know, it's not so difficult. Going through difficult things is inevitable, but having a higher meaning of those and purpose, this is what makes it tolerable, and this is what helps us go through such difficult situations. Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much, Radi, for taking your time on this hot Bulgarian night that is 105 degrees to, you know, to be with us, to share with us some tips on Horary Astrology, this ancient art that gives such specific questions. Guys, if you want to answer to a question for Radi, her services are very affordable. I think they start from $40. You can check her services. There is a link that I've put to that video. And yeah, we'll bring you new interesting videos with Radi. She's very, I think you studied also with one of my teachers, with Mira Borisova, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have similar approach to astrology. So thank you so much, Radi, for
Thank
being
you
here.
too. It was a pleasure, and I hope it was interesting for everyone.
Oh, I learned a lot. I loved it as well. Well, thank you so much, Radi. And guys, I will see you soon with another astrological interesting topic. And if you have any questions and things like that, you can send them to us so we think of new interesting topics. Or maybe if you want us again to speak about horary, we can give other examples. So thank you so much. Thank you, Radi.
Thank you, Lada. Speak
Have a
soon.
great day, night. Bye bye.